It's okay, Eliza. I think it looks good on you, I said, trying to ease her feeling of embarrassment. Don't patronize me, Eliza shouted. It looks ridiculous. How am I supposed to be taken seriously? Wearing this? What happens when we have to present our product, Reginald? If I'm not taken seriously as a caster, then it reflects poorly on the product, Eliza shouted. Honestly, Eliza, when it comes to casters, based on the number of them I've seen thus far, they seem to vary wildly. Honestly, I don't think the fact that your enhancement object is a little cute is going to make much of a difference to them. Strange is kind of in the wheelhouse of magic casters. And if you have an object like that, chances are they've probably seen others similar. So I just don't think it's something you have to worry about. Well, you'd better hope so, Reginald, Eliza replied, still frustrated. Honestly, I can't wait to see how this affects my magic myself. After seeing that spell that Sylvia cast on that werewolf, I'm going to be interested to see the effects. She said it would increase our magic's power, act like a booster, so I guess that means our magic will be stronger, which is something we definitely need, Eliza. If that werewolf comes back, I don't care how silly you think that hat looks. If it makes your spellcasting stronger, wear it. I'd dress like a jester if it meant I didn't have to die in a bloody mess under a werewolf. That just sounds like a bad way to go, I said, scratching my nose as I thought back to the instant. I can still remember that huge thing dwarfing over us as it tried to get through Alice's shield. Thinking at all that thing actually is a human being is crazy. It's huge. It makes me wonder what size they are originally, if it really matters. Do they all get that big? I thought to myself, and suddenly there was a flash of violet light, and I turned around to see Sylvia, dressed in her usual attire, a simple brown blouse with a white dress, skirt, with her tobacco pipe in hand. Well, it seems that we're all gathered, aren't we? So let's hurry this along. I do have other things to attend to. I turned around to talk to her. Sylvia, don't you think you should give us a little instruction first? Like, how exactly do we use them? I asked, giving her a puzzled look. It's nothing to worry your head about, Sylvia replied. Quite simply, the object acts as an amplifier for your magical energies, regardless of the type of spell that you cast. And there's no real technique that needs perfecting when it comes to the use. In time, after using them, you will become comfortable. So long as you maintain firm contact with your object, its effects will be apparent. No special technique is necessary. Simply hold it however you feel comfortable. So, don't wait on me. Go ahead, give it a try. I'm not here to see if you know how to use the objects. That's simple. You just have them in your possession. I'm only here to see how the objects work in your grasp, to ensure that they're functioning properly, and that the balance of materials is working effectively. It's a good baseline should I need to make a new one, or somewhere down the line you request an upgrade, something more powerful, perhaps. It will help me with fine-tuning and trying to maximize the results, Sylvia said, taking another hit of her tobacco pipe, the smoke trailing off in the slow breeze. Okay, I thought to myself, just keep a grasp of the object and cast the spell. I remember the last time that I tried to cast a base level long-range attack spell. Let's see how it works with the cane in hand. I took a few steps forward. Facing into the distance, there was a nice-sized tree ahead of me that I think could use a little bit of remodeling, let's say. So I drew a bead on the tree, focused my magical energy, and tried a base-level, long-range attack spell. Veirala, I announced, snapping my fingers, and suddenly I felt a change in the magical energy. As I casted the spell, I felt almost like an exchange, as if for a brief moment, magical energy, instead of casting straight out, seemed to rebound, bouncing back and forth between me and the staff rapidly. It was only for an instant, but I felt a dramatic increase in magical energy that occurred from the cycling back and forth between me and the cane. And when the spell finally took effect, the results were quite impressive. A thin red bolt shot forward, tearing its way straight through the tree. But unlike the last time I cast this spell, this time seemed more focused. Normally there was more spread in the blast. It had a wider area to it, as if the energy took up more space. This time it was far more concentrated, and as I looked down the path through the tree, I saw that the blast not only tore through the tree immediately in front of me, but one or two trees behind it had very large circular segments scorched right through them in a nearly perfect circular pattern. The staff, or cane, is definitely doing its job. I think this will work quite nicely, I said aloud, having a bit of a sly smile on my face. Alice and Eliza repeated the process right behind me, trying a long-range cast, and each one of them receiving basically the same result. After a little bit of conversation, we all verified that we felt an intenser focus on the magic, both in the overall amount and the concentration of it. I did notice when Alice and Eliza were using their items that I began to see glowing around the gemstones that line the objects, and small amounts of shimmering energy over the objects themselves. I was a little preoccupied when I was using the object that I was given, but I assume it was most likely doing the same thing. Eliza's actually had an interesting effect to it as well. Unlike our objects, which just shimmered, glowing a bit, Eliza's little bunny ears would actually move when she casted a spell, sticking themselves up and becoming rigid for a short time, like a rabbit in the woods who had heard something and its ears perked up. It was rather amusing to see, despite how Eliza felt about the appearance of her item. Its effects were clear. After a little bit of conversation between ourselves, Sylvia began to interject. Well, it appears that your items are working appropriately. There are a few interesting things that I might think of when making the next objects. That is, if you have me make them, of course. Regardless, at this point I'd say that my work is done. I'll be going now. If there's anything else you need, feel free to contact me, and I shall come when I have the time, Sylvia said, beginning to raise her hand. Sylvia, wait, I shouted. There is something else that I was wanting to ask you about. Recently, a business associate of mine dropped by for a short visit. We had ourselves a conversation, and he broached an interesting topic that he advised me to look into. Specifically, I think it's a subject that you might know something about, given that you specialize in enhancement magic. It seems to fall under similar lines of reasoning. So I thought that you might know something, or have some type of information, or access to it even. Anything that you could provide would be good, I said, leaning on the cane just a little bit, both hands firmly affixed to it. Well, I suppose that shouldn't be a problem. What is it that you want me to do? Procure something for you? Some manner of knowledge or books? Spells or materials, perhaps? Sylvia said. No, Sylvia. Specifically, I'd like to know what you know about the reoccurring patterns in people. Specifically, what I was told was that for those in the know, there are patterns woven into existence, fabric of the universe itself, in fact. And these patterns seem to emerge, regardless of circumstance, again and again, functioning as cogs in the machine of the universe. And all of these patterns amount to events, structures, and people, of course, saying that people themselves fall into these patterns, are the patterns themselves, and that there is some measure of importance in knowing what one's individual pattern is. I was wondering if you could tell me what you know about the subject, or provide me some sort of information. I would, of course, be willing to compensate you, I said.